our first to-do is if message.description is clicked tag, then set the model's selected tag field to be message.data. Actually, before I go through these, let me just go ahead and build this and bring it up in the browser. Bring up part 3 index.html, just so we can kind of see the before and then the after. So the before is that it's displaying all of the articles in the feed, and clicking on these things doesn't do anything. So we're gonna make them actually work. So first one, we're gonna wire up the update function. So when we get one of these messages, we want to set the model's selected tag field. So if message.description is clicked tag, then we want to set the model's selected tag field to be message.data. So I'm going to say model pipe selected tag equals message.data. So we do need an else here because every if has to come with an else. Now we've got one. So fundamentally what this is doing is saying anytime that this function is called and message is a record with a description field, that description field has clicked tag as the string inside there, then we're going to return a new model that is exactly the same as the old one, except that we've changed the selected tag to be whatever is in the data field of the message. So that's the first thing we're going to do. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to use that currently selected tag inside the model to filter the articles down to only the ones that include that currently selected tag. So here's our list.filter. So it's going to iterate through each element in the all articles list inside of our model. And then it's going to run this anonymous function on each of them. And that's going to be our sort of isKeepable function. So we're going to return true if we should keep it, and false if we should drop it and filter it out and not show it. So how do we know if we should keep it or not? Well, each article has a tags field on it. So the tags is a list of strings that tells us which tags the article has. We also know about the selected tag on the model. So we want to see, we want to keep this article if and only if its tags list includes the model's selected tag. So we're going to do that is with list.member. And as we saw before, list.member takes as its first argument the thing that we're going to be checking for, which in this case is model.selected tag. We're going to be checking for that inside the following list, the list of article.tags. So putting those together, we now have a filter function that is going to check for each of these articles, does that article's list of tags include the selected tag in the model? If so, keep it. It shouldn't be filtered out. And if not, then it should be filtered out, and we will drop it from the list. Okay, and the last piece of the puzzle is connecting view and update through an onClick handler that's going to specify a message to send to update every time the user clicks it. So here is our onClick handler. We're going to give it a description, and that description is going to be based on the one that we want inside of update, which is to say clicked tag. So it's really important that those line up so that when update receives this message as an argument, it runs the appropriate logic. So we're going to put that in there for the description, and then the data is going to change depending on the current tag. So the data, the way that we used that in update was that we said selected tag equals message.data. So whatever we put in that data field is going to end up becoming our selected tag. And then later on, we use that selected tag inside of our filter function. So we want this selected tag to be one of the tags inside article.tags, which means that it's going to need to be something along the lines of Elm, programming, etc. Depending on what the current tag is. So inside each of these tags, we've got the selected tag name, which is the one that in our application that's currently selected. And we also have tag name, which is sort of the current tag name for the tag that we're rendering right now. And that's the one that we want to put as the data. So putting those together, whenever the user clicks, it's going to send a message to update. That is, the Elm runtime is going to send this message to update with a description of clicked tag and a data of tag name. Then update is going to look at that description and say, I see I've received a clicked tag message. If we had other messages, we could handle it with else's. And then update the model to have that be the selected tag. And then based on that, view is then going to get called with that new model. It's going to rerun this filter function, which is going to check to see if the currently or the new selected tag is in each of the tags of each of these articles. And it's only going to render the articles that for which that's true. So let's see how that looks. Okay, so right away we can see that instead of having that filter function return true, even as soon as I refresh the page, on the very first load it looks a little bit different now. Now we only have articles being rendered that have that tag of Elm on them. We change it to fun, we only get that one. Programming, we only get that one. And dragons, we only get that one. So there we have it. Fully interactive Elm application. Questions? Yeah?
So one of the things that I think can be a little maybe confusing is the onClick. You know, we're used to maybe if you're coming from JavaScript to being a function.
Yeah.
Whereas here it's just like, here's a record.
Right. Yeah, so that's a great point. In JavaScript, onClick is usually a handler that takes a function, whereas in Elm, it does not take a function. It just takes a value. All it wants to know is, what is the message I should send to update? Which I guess is a pretty fundamental difference between Elm and JavaScript, is that in Elm, the Elm architecture is the way that we describe how things interact, whereas in JavaScript, it's more open-ended, and you have like event listeners and stuff like that. So yeah, that is a definite difference between the two.